What's up guys, Forecastman here. Welcome to the lab. On this series, maybe, we'll see, I'm not going to talk about what I've been playing around with, decks, replays, things like that. Now this episode, what I've been really falling in love with is Spright Beetroopers. So Beetroopers is a deck that I've been playing with since pretty much release a year ago. Doomdozer is one of my all-time favorite cards, and the fact that I'm able to play it in like a competitive, meta-relevant deck has been absolutely a blast. So I've been on Beetroopers for a long time. And with the sprites coming in Power the Elements as well as Crawler Suma, a lot of options kind of open up. So in the past, Beetroopers has either been kind of like a mediocre pure deck or a package to play DPE in. I've never been a fan of the DPE version just because it didn't feel like Beetroopers, but the sprites actually add a lot of flexibility, a lot of power, and a lot of ability to like play through disruption. It's actually quite surprising how much synergy there is. So we're on 50 cards, just because the Spright is, it's not a small package with a 3 blue, one of each of the others, and then of course the 2 starter. So I had to play 50 cards to be able to still fit in the staples, which is the Nibiru, the Ash, the Imperm, and the droplets. But to kind of compensate and help me keep that consistency, I have the Small World as well. So I'm just going to go over the card by card in the main, so just kind of explain everything. So Nibiru, of course, is just a good hand trap. Neptune is a really good card. It's good for the Appaloosa combo if you open Resonance Insect plus an extender. Doomdozer, of course, is pretty great to search off Resonance Insect to also banish it. Sting Lancer is a hand trap as well as an extender, and it's just a really good card in general. And of course, Crawler Suma is absolutely ridiculously strong. It's coming in Power of the Elements. It summons 2 crawlers basically from the hand deck or graveyard. And the ones that we are on are Receptor and Dendrite. It doesn't really matter too much which crawlers you're on. I'm on these 2 in particular because if I have a hand that's so bad that I have to basically just set one of these kind of help you set you up for your next turn plays, like one summons, one sends something to the graveyard, things like that, they search. So the idea with them is like if your hand is really that bad, then maybe you can do stuff on the next turn. Other people are playing things like Axon to kind of pop your opponent's stuff, which I think is fine as well. So you can play whichever of the crawlers you want, but those are the ones that I'm playing. Of course, we have Artifact Scythe because Sting the Poison is actually a tuner, which means we can go into the Halp Dagda stuff pretty easily. So we can go for the Artifact Scythe play. Battle Wasp R Blast Rapid Fire is needed for the Resonance Insect combo if you want to go into like the good Beetrooper end board. It's also just a really good extender, and you can search off Sting the Poison as follow-up and things like that. Assault Roller is really good. Normally I play like Killer Needle or a normal monster in this slot, but I wanted Assault Roller here instead because that way it's not a total brick in the hand. You can still special summon it if you open it as opposed to Killer Needle, which you can't really do. Of course, Resonant Insect is the best card in the deck. It opens up so many different plays. You equip it, you send it to the graveyard by linking it off, or you can equip it with Pico. And then of course we have Scale Bomber, it's just a really good extender. Scout Buggy is what I usually summon off of the Invincible Atlas. Goki Pole is really good. You send it to the graveyard with Resonance Insect, and then it gets you a level 4, usually Assault Roller or R Blast, depending on what the combo is. And we're playing 3 Ash Blossom, of course. It's just the best hand trap in the game. And the sprites, it's 1 jet, 1 red, 3 blue, 1 carrot, and then 2 starter. And finally we have Sting the Poison, 3 of them. This is one of the best cards in this version of the deck. It's level 2, so it works with the sprites. It's a tuner, so you can go into like the Halp plays with the Scythe Lock. It searches Pin, which is another extender, it's absolutely crazy. So it's really good. I really like Sting the Poison. It's probably on par with Resonance Insect in this version of the deck. Normally like a pure build Resonance Insect would be a little bit stronger, but in this one I think Sting is actually the stronger card. So of course we have 2 Pin the Bullseye, 2 Beetrooper Descent. Normally I would want to play like a Ready Fusion, so I could have Quaggar Hercules Beetle. It's a little bit better than Descent because it puts an insect body in the graveyard, which can come up for the sake of banishing things, for like Armor Horn or Doomdozer. However, I don't really have the space in the extra deck for the Ready Fusion targets, so I'm running the Descent instead, and the back row pop can actually come up sometimes, so it can be a little bit relevant. 3 Small World, just because we're on 50 cards, I do want to have the extra consistency. 3 Droplets. Just Droplets is one of the strongest cards in the game. It'll be reprinted in the Megatin, so it'll be super cheap soon, hopefully, knock on wood. and of course the 2 starter and the 3 imperm to finish out. 50 cards, I know it's a lot, but hopefully with the small worlds it actually isn't that bad. Extra deck is the Barone. We can go into it with a couple different combos. Also the Scythe, the Wonder Magician with the Scythe combo can do that as well. Cicada King, just because we summon the Scout Buggies off of the Atlas, so we can go into the Cicada King, which can, with Sting in the graveyard, it can act as basically 2 disruptions. So you disrupt one with Cicada King, then you summon the Sting back, and then Sting can then also negate. So it's really good in that sense. Then we have Gigantic Spright, who is just a really good card. It locks your opponent from debuting you. It can summon a level 2 from the deck, usually like Sting the Poison or one of the crawlers like Blue. Then of course we have the Armor Horn, or the Atlas, sorry. This is also a really good card. It's a towers, which can come up maybe, although usually I just destroy itself to summon the Scout Buggies or maybe a Sting Lancer. Of course, Access Code Talker is a great going second card. It's how you can OTK very easily because we can very easily link climb to it. Appaloosa is a great card you can end on, as well as Unicorn. Unicorn is more for the IP Masquerena play because the sprites actually kind of lock you. If you go for the starter or if you use Gigantic's effect, you get locked into link, rank, or level 2s. But we can still go into Unicorn on our opponent's turn to get a spin with IP Masquerena. The Papillon is also a very important card for the Beetrooper stuff. Not only can it revive a card if you just end with it, and then you can revive like Sting the Poison on your opponent's turn to use a Sting the Poison, but you can also use it as part of like your main combos to get into your big boards by negating it with like Cicada King and then summoning something back from the graveyard so you can keep going and extend and all that stuff. Of course, we have Artifact Dagda and Halki Fibrax for the Wonder Magician Scythe Barone play. It's actually very easy to get out with the Sting the Poison. All you need is basically Sting the Poison plus an additional extender. Elf, of course, is an absolutely insanely strong card. It can be used with any level 2 and any other monster, so it's really easy to go into, and it just summons something back. Armor Horn, of course, is the bread and butter of the deck. That's usually what your first turn is going for Armor Horn, getting the summon and all that stuff, and then just link climbing from there. Pico is really important too, to get the Resonance Insect in rotation. And then lastly, IP Masquerena, just because the lock from the starter or the Gigantic can maybe come up, but with IP Masquerena you can kind of get around that. You can turn your extra materials on board into an IP Masquerena, and then maybe on your opponent's turn either go for like an Appaloosa or a Unicorn. The side deck here isn't really anything, it's just stuff that I was messing around with. Like I was messing around with the cross-out stuff and Retaliating Sea. Retaliating Sea is a great card, it'll be a good card in the next format. I just couldn't fit it into this build. But if someone, comes up with a build that can fit all of these cards, awesome. But yeah, this is the list that I have so far. I'll show you what it does in the replays, and I really like it so far. So let's get to those replays. Alright guys, welcome to game 1. As you can see, we've opened a pretty great hand with Sting the Poison +1, so that means we can easily get into the Scythe Lock and the Barone. So we're going to do just that. We're going to summon Sting the Poison, going to search a Pin the Bullseye, summon Pin the Bullseye, then we're going to deal 200, go for Hulk, summon the other Sting, then summon the blue from hand. We're going to search the Jet with the blue. Then we're going to go into Gigantic. I think I misclicked the Dendrite. I didn't mean to summon it, but hey, you know what, it works. So we summon the Dendrite, then we're going to summon the Jet, get the starter. Then we're going to send those off for the Dagda, use the starter to get the Carrot, because I didn't want to lose like a Raigeki or like an Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, which has happened before. So I wanted to make sure I at least had like a Spell Trap negate for that. And of course we have the Droplet set for some extra interaction. And on our opponent's turn, he activates something, which means we can use the Hulk and the Dagda to go into the Wonder Magician, which pops the Scythe, which of course goes into the Barone and Scythe locks our opponent. He will do some stuff. We're going to let him. I don't know what Vendrits are trying to do, but he is locked from the extra deck. All I know is I have to negate the Ritual spell, which I do, which means I don't think he can really do anything. So he summons some zombies and kind of just passes on that board. So I tribute summon the Carrot. I tribute summon the Soma by using the Carrot, and summon the 2 crawlers back. However, again, I misclicked. I sent this one to face down defense position, which will hurt a little bit for link climbing, but that's okay, we can still get the job done. So we go into IP Masquerena, we get the Assault Roller, and we summon the second Pin, the Bullseye that we had in hand. Then we use that to climb into Access Code Talker, and then we use Gigantic to get blue to get the last Spright in our deck, and we can summon the Spright red. Then we use Access Code Popper to pop his field, and that's the OTK. So that's it for game 1. You can kind of see how everything kind of works with the Hulk combo and how it all synergizes together. So let's get into the other games so you can see exactly what else they can do. So welcome to our second replay. Unfortunately we're going second, which means we'll have to work with whatever our opponent gives us, and they just set and pass. This has me really suspicious, like if this is like an imperm, maybe it's like Nibiru in hand or something. Luckily we do have a hand that can play through quite a lot of disruption. We have a Sting the Poison and the Armor Blast in hand, so we can search a pin. We have the starter, so we can go into all the Spright stuff if any of our things get, negated or disrupted, like within Beard or something like that. And of course, we have Beetrooper Descent, which we can either save till after everything gets interrupted to maybe go into some more Link stuff, or we can potentially pop whatever that back row could be near the end of our combo. And then Small World if we need anything else, and Forbidden Droplets, of course, would be not a bad card to just set if we have to pass. So we're going to start with the Sting the Poison. We're going to search the Pin the Bullseye. Summon the Pin the Bullseye, then of course the most important effect, deal 200 damage. Go to Armor Horn, and we'll summon the R-Blast. R-Blast will get the Sting back. Then we'll go into the Pico, we'll discard the Small World to get the Resonance Insect into rotation. And then we'll link off for the Armor Horn. Resonance Insect, of course, will search the Mighty Neptune. Then we're going to Descent because we have a 3k Beetrooper on the field. We can actually use Descent's other effect, which lets us pop a back row to see what it is, and it is the Heavy Storm Duster. So then we're going to Atlas Pop itself to get the Buggy, which will summon another Buggy, which will get us the Cicada King. Then of course we're going to banish the Resonance Insect and some other things for the Armor Horn, which will send the Goki Pole, which will search us the Assault Roller. And then we're going to summon the Mighty Neptune by shuffling everything back. And then we're going to go into the Papillion using the Armor Horn and the Descent token. Then negate the Papillion effect to get back the Sting the Poison. And then we're going to link that off for Barone. And then we're going to summon the Assault Roller by banishing from the graveyard and linking that with the Papillion to Access Code Talker. Then wait for the Spright stuff with Starter into Blue, into Jet to search the other starter, which doesn't really matter. And then the Elf, which will get back the Jet, which will go into Gigantic, which will get us Carrot. So now we just basically have a big board and we can just OTK our opponent. So he will Swift Scarecrow, but we will negate that with Barone. And then they just kind of let the timer run out. I don't really think they had anything else that they could do. We were in a pretty good situation there. But yeah, that's how the Beetroopers can kind of work with the Sprights in this game. So let's get into the others so we can see what else it can do. Alright, welcome to the next game. And as you can see, this is quite the hand. Luckily, we did lose the die roll, so that means we're going second. And we have the Ash and the Nibiru on this two starters. We're going to Ash the Quick Play spell to see what else he can do. So he just starts summoning Extra Sisters. I'm not going to pretend to know what the hell they do. So he just keeps going, but we do have the Nibiru in hand. That's all we care about, is if he can set up a disruption for the Nibiru before I can get the Nibiru off. Let's see if he can do that. So he summons all these Extra Sisters, which is the 5th summon, which means we can Nibiru right now. So I'm curious to see what else he can do. So he just sets 2 and passes. This is a pretty breakable board, especially with Small World. We can actually start getting into some plays. So we're going to Small World the Ash to get the Sting the Poison. We're going to summon Sting the Poison to get the Pin the Needle. Of course, summon that, minus 200 to our opponent. Then go into the Hulk. So here what I figure I can do is, if he's going to float into all these things, if we can't OTK, we can at least Scythe Lock him and destroy his whole board. So we're going to do just that. After we go into the Hulk and get this thing to Poison, we're going to go for the Spright stuff with the Blue, which will search after he floats some more, which will go into the Red. Red, we're going to go into Gigantic, and then we're going to get the Carrot from the deck. And now we have enough to kind of clear his board and still be able to go into Dagda, so we can Scythe Lock him to kind of block him out of the game of the next turn. So we're just going to start attacking over his things, and at this point he just surrenders, which is good for him. I mean, we were going to clear his board anyway and then Scythe Lock him with Barone, so there's not much he could have done. But yeah, Nibiru is a hell of a card. I'm still not going to pretend to know what the Extra Sisters do. I still don't know what they do. So hey, if this person played well, good for them. If they completely misplayed, let me know in the comments below. Maybe we could have done, a little bit worse against an actual Extra Sister player. So that's it for this game. Let's get into another. Alright, welcome to the next game, and as you can see, it's not such a great hand. We do have a Droplets and a Sting Lancer. Unfortunately, neither of these are very useful when you're going second. So we're going to see what our opponent can do. They're going to summon Xiamen, use the Xiamen to get the Foxy Tune, of course, and then Foxy Tune to get the Deer Note, go into the Chaos Ruler, and then of course get the Deer Note back, and do all the things that they do. So he's going to Excavate 5, and then he gets the Effect Veiler. So now we know he has an Effect Veiler, we can actually play around it. because we actually have a pretty crazy hand. So he's going to go into the thing, he's going to mill 5 using his zombie vampire, which actually helps us in a way. Because what this does is this turns on Sting Lancer. Normally Sting Lancer is not really good if you're going second, because it needs to have a target in your graveyard and your opponent's graveyard. But if you're going second, obviously you don't have anything in your graveyard usually. However, with the mill, which I do have targets in our graveyard that we can use with Sting Lancer. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to use Sting Lancer to get a card back to my deck, and also send his Chaos Ruler back to his extra deck because I don't want him using Chaos Ruler. And then we start with our turn. Of course, we'll get the Descent, which will let us get an extra extender, because I know he does have that Effect Veiler in hand, so that's at least one piece of disruption. However, what I want to do is I want to bait that Effect Veiler. So I want to go into an Armor Horn, because we do have ways to extend past that Armor Horn if the Armor Horn doesn't get negated. So I want him to bait him into using that on the Armor Horn. So we're going to pin, go into the Armor Horn, and he does Effect Veiler this, which is awesome. We still get the Doomdozer with the Resonance Insect, and then we're going to banish the Resonance Insect, of course, with the Doomdozer, get the Goki Pole, which gets us the Assault Roller, which we go into Pico, and then discard the Dendrite in hand to go into the other Resonance Insect and the Invincible Atlas. And of course we're going to search the Neptune, and we do have Invincible Atlas. He does have 2 unknown back row, I don't know what they are, but again, Descent can pop the back row since we do have the Atlas on the field. So we're going to do just that. Pop the back row, which turns it to be a Forbidden Droplets, which is weird. I don't know why he didn't use that before, like on the Pico. I guess he wanted to save some of his monsters. I'm not going to complain for sure. Anyways, so we sacrifice itself to get the Buggies and go into the Cicada King, this time in defense position, so that when I do negate my own Papillon, I can actually get this into attack mode and do some more damage. Then we're going to Armor Horn, of course, which gets the Reza, which sends the Sting, the Poison, which means we can actually also go into the Assault Roller. Then we're going to the Seraphim Papillon Operative, which lets us negate it to get the Sting Bullseye back from the graveyard, which lets us summon the Mighty Neptune. After we get the Jet to get the starter, and then we're going to summon the Mighty Neptune, go into Barone, then we're going to climb into Access Code Talker, and we still have the starter stuff for other Spright things like Search the Blue, and we can still go into Gigantic Spright and all that. So our opponent just surrenders, and that is the 4th game. We still have one more game, one more replay to show you. But yeah, as you can see, this deck is super powerful. There's a whole lot you can do. These going second especially, right? Like we were going second in a lot of these games, right? We're not just scythe locking our opponent. There's just so much power with the sprites that they add. So hopefully, let's get into the final game, to show you exactly what else we can do. Alright guys, welcome to the final game, the final replay that I do have prepared for you guys. Not a whole lot of Spright stuff in this hand, however, this game will show off the power of Crawler Soma. So we're going second again, just keep using these die rolls. Ends up being against Sue Ships, which I don't know how bad their end board is. So, but he goes into his Dreadnought, and then his Shari, and then just passes. Now I'm kind of hesitant, don't know what this could be. Could be like a Droplets or an Imperm, don't know if he has like a Nibiru in hand maybe. We don't have a great hand, however, we can play through some disruption because of the Soma. So let's get that started. So we're going to buggy, try to buggy for the other buggy so we can maybe go with Armor Horn. He does end up impermanting it though. But we have the Soma in hand, so we can just flip the buggy face down, and then summon the 2 crawlers. Then we're going to go into Armor Horn, not even use its effect, we're just going to go into Doomdozer, and then Pico. And then Pico will discard the Nibiru, which we drew off the top of course, for the Resonance Insect. And then we go into Atlas. Atlas will get us, Resonance Insect will search us the Mighty Neptune. Atlas will pop itself to get the Sting Lancer, which will help us OTK, and maybe search the Descent. So we get the Descent off the Sting Lancer, and we're going to use the Descent to get another body, so we can keep link climbing. Then we're going to Armor Horn, which is going to go Goki Pole, which then we're going to get the Assault Roller. And we actually haven't used Armor Horn's effect yet. We're not going to though. And we just climb into the Papillon, and we're going to banish for the Assault Roller, and then get the Mighty Neptune, and then go into the Access Code Talker. Access Code is going to pop his stuff, which puts things in his graveyard, which means Sting Lancer is now live as well, the one that we have in hand. And we're going to summon that, and then just kill him from here. with all the big monsters. And that's it for the replays. This one was not as hype of a game, but it does show how good Crawler Soma is on letting you play through Disruption. Like, I was able to go full combo basically just because I had the Crawler Soma in hand for when he disrupted my normal summon. And that's pretty much it. That's kind of what Spright can do. Hopefully, you know, the list isn't exactly refined yet, I would say. Still kind of messing around with it. Hopefully you can get some inspiration from this and maybe try it out yourself. It is super fun to play. I do think it will be what I'm playing going forward, primarily, when I get my hands on some of the cards, like the Spright cards and things like that. So, if you like it, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Like, subscribe, do all the usual stuff, and I'll see you guys later.